okay, and in a couple of weeks she was home, but that was hard. My dad, he was so worried he had to drive clear from Driggs to Idaho Falls, which was how many miles?
I don't know.
On those little bitty roads, and
Yeah.
not big as it was now.
And late at night. I remember I cried a lot after they left to take her.
You was worried about your
I
mother.
was worried about our mother. But she got better.
Let's see, what could
And
we
they didn't drive, you know, my dad maybe drove 35 miles an hour, which, boy, I tell you. And here she is sick and sick.
Was he along with her? I guess, did anybody go with him to help her?
I think he just took her alone, didn't he?
I guess so.
And she
They didn't have a hospital up there then, I guess?
No, there's no hospital.
There used to be a doctor up there, Dr. Redford, but we always thought he didn't know what he was doing. I don't know. Well,
We didn't think he knew as much as we did about taking care of her.
I know somebody went to him and he told him one thing that he had, and he'd been exposed to measles or something, and when an older person has measles, you're sick.
Yeah.
And it turned out to be he had measles instead of whatever the diagnosis they gave him.
Yeah.
It was different. Damn near died though with measles. He was an old man.
Okay, let's stop and take another quick break, or do you have another question?
No, I think they covered everything that.
Okay, we'll stop and take another quick break here.
Well, I felt all right about it because I knew it was the only thing to do. My dad was getting older all the time. He didn't have the money to keep the farm. He owed for the Federal Land Bank Company for a lot of money, you know, and he didn't have any. He didn't. He just went along his own way with one head of horses and a team of horses, and he didn't have the money to go buy a tractor or a hired man, so he knew he was going to lose the place anyway. So he went and asked this. I guess Jack volunteered to take the place. Anyway, he asked other people if they wanted it to buy it, and they couldn't. They didn't want it either.
Nobody had any money.
Nobody had any money. But his son-in-law, my oldest sister's husband, decided that he could do it. And he was young enough that he could borrow money and get us started again, you know. He had to buy a tractor and hire a man and stuff like that to get it going again. So I felt fine about it. Gosh, I thought that was the only thing to do. But my sister and my mother, Annie and my mother, they really hated to leave the farm. Well, Dad did too, but he knew that was the only thing he could do too.
Well, I feel much the same as was on. You know, our dad was getting older, and my sister's husband that took the farm over had just graduated from college in agriculture, and he knew how to improve everything. He knew the things to do that my dad didn't know, really. Yeah. My dad did a lot of hard work and had it in good shape for him to take over, but I thought it was okay. You know, I didn't feel like they'd done anything. I thought it was good that
they had to pay all that money to get it free.
Yeah, and they had to do a lot of work, and O.J. knew how to take it over.
He knew how to do it.
He knew how to do it.
So O.J. and Stella moved into the farmhouse then?
Yeah. The only thing that made her unhappy was they moved into the farmhouse while my folks were still there, you know, and so they had to kind of divide that house up between two families. And she wasn't very happy about that because she said, I've lived here all my life, I don't want to live here anymore. But she consoled herself and was willing to do it after a while. And they had a happy time there. And then they weren't there too long till he let his son take over, and then they moved into town. Or went to Boise, I guess.
He was the Senate from Fremont County, or from Teton County.
But I think that he He was fair. I think he was fair with our dad.
Oh, I'm sure he was,
Yeah.
yes. I'm
and
sure he
a
did
lot of
everything.
People, some people thought that he wasn't, maybe, but I think he was.
Well, it was the only thing he could do,
Yeah,
you know,
only
was
thing,
take it
'cause-
over and run it.
And nobody else had the money to take it,
Mm-hmm.
you know. And
But it's been in our family for over 100 years, the one family.
yeah. So
That's quite a heritage.
Mhm.
yeah.
Now what's this I hear about you all had the measles at the same time?
Oh, go ahead and tell that was on.
Well, we did. There was 5 girls of us, and we all got the measles at the same time, you know. And I remember in the dining room we had a long bed. I don't know what we made it out of. But we all was in this bed, and Mom hung quilts up to the window so we wouldn't get any light because it's not bad for your
And we
eyes.
had this little pot-belly stove in the middle
Yes,
of the floor.
and
And we're all in that bed sweating. And with the measles, and they all speckled with the
Measles.
measles.
We'd all eat the same thing and sleep when we could. And
They took good care of us, and you know, we were sicker than dogs.
yeah, but we all had all those childhood diseases, chicken pox and
I
measles
remember
was the
my
worst. So.
sister's kids, our sister kids all had the whooping cough about that same time, it seemed like. And that was a terrible thing.
Let's see, we didn't have this whooping cough, did
No,
we?
we
We
didn't.
had it when it was earlier probably, but we don't remember that.
We didn't get it.
All
like
I
that.
remember is when we had the measles.
I remember that very well.
You all had them together.
Yeah,
That was one good thing. We got it all over with.
we did.
Yeah.
Did you all have to have smallpox vaccinations back in those days?
No,
You didn't do that, did
I
you?
didn't
I
think
don't
we
think
did that.
so.
Mm-mm.
We didn't get any vaccinations. I remember when I was growing up, I had an earache all the time, on night and day. Sometimes I'd have it for 2-3 months, and not a day's rest from it. And my ears would ache so bad that and I didn't ever go to a doctor. There was no such thing as an ear doctor. And so my mother would put some warm oil in my ear, and I suffered night after night with that earache. But that's about
Well,
the
I
only-
think all of us kids had earaches, you know.
Did you? Did
And
you have it too?
yeah, I don't ever remember having a toothache, but we had earaches.
No, I don't remember having the toothache.
And quite a time growing up.
But I think that all in all, we had a fun time out on the farm, and our parents were good, and we had the church. It did everything for us that we didn't have at home.
Did they have a church right there in Bates?
Yes, we had a little church right there in Bates, and we attended every Sunday, naturally. And
My dad, we were always the first one there, so
yeah,
Dad always made the fire for the
Yeah.
church.
That's
But
what
he
kept
made
the
the
church
fire.
warm, was that old pot-bellied stove, huh?
yeah, that old pot-bellied stove.
Did you just did you have a sacrament meeting like we
Uh-huh.
have now,
And then we'd go home, and then,
would you come back for
then
for
we'd
Sunday
come back.
school?
Yeah, we had, and then on Tuesday nights we'd have mutual.
Yeah.
But on Sunday mornings we'd have the Sunday school, and then maybe we'd go home and come back in the afternoon for
Yeah.
sacrament meeting.
And sometimes when we had things at night, like for instance we had a dance, and my dad would be playing the music for the dance, and my brothers, we'd always go, but lots of times a storm would come up during the time that we were there, and maybe a real bad blizzard, and sometimes we stayed all night, danced all night, and just, we didn't. I remember a lot of times I was the youngest, and I'd go to sleep on the bench, and they'd wake me up telling me it's time to go home.
Didn't you say one time, didn't they forget you at the church? Or
No, they didn't forget me, but my brother forgot some of his kids,
oh,
and got clear home, and thought, oh my gosh, we left Joe asleep on the bench. Gotta go back to church and get him out.
So they went back and got him then?
Went back and got him. They didn't forget me. I guess I must have been.
You were afraid of being left then.
Yeah. But I remember a lot of time waking up and hearing this music still going and people still dancing.
Well, when Edwin was home, we used to go to the neighbors and have parties, and we'd stay all night too.
Yeah, we'd stay all night.
I remember one time we went to Van Dustin's, and he just lived down the road a ways. We went to his place and we stayed all night.
Yeah.
And Dick Buxton and Mary was there.
Yeah.
So even though you didn't have TV or any of that,
No.
you still had plenty of things to do at night?
Yeah.
Yeah. My dad bought one time, he came home and brought a radio, one of those little round boxes. I wish we still had that. And it took the little round, it had little round records. They were about this long, about this wide. And we were so thrilled. We had this phonograph.
Phonograph. I was going to
Yeah,
say, do you mean a phonograph?
What did I say?
Radio.
Oh, a phonograph. And we put this record on
You
and
wind it up?
wound it up. First record we played was My Mother's Old Red Shawl.
That mother's old
My mother cried.
Yeah, she cried every time she...
It was so sad.
She'd cry and cry when she...
Oh.
It reminded her of her mother, she said.
Yeah, it reminded her of her mother.
The records of those cylinders, you know.
Edison records, they called them.
Yeah, that's what it was.
Victrola.
Yeah.
I think it was, they called them, and you had to wind them. They get going slow. And
Yeah.
I remember my grandpa Fenton, but I don't remember my grandma Fenton. But I think she died before I was...
I remember him a little bit. I remember him, but I don't remember her very well either. She must have died before.
Now, how about Grandpa's folks? Do you remember them? Your grandma?
Grandpa's folks, my dad's had 3 sisters that lived in Salt Lake. We'd go down there once in a great while, but we didn't know too much about them.
How about his mother and father?
I don't know about them either.
We never did know about them.
I don't know if they even died in England or...
I think they did. I think they did.
They didn't come over with the kids?
No.
I don't know
I don't think
about
so.
that. We'll have to read his story.
I
I
don't
don't
think
think
so.
he's even got it in his story.
I just assumed they came over with them because he said he was so young when he came over.
Yes, he was young.
7 years old.
I
So maybe they did.
I can't remember what happened to his folks. I really don't.
I don't know what happened. I'll bet Andy's got that on my son's son that lives in Utah is doing a lot of our family genealogy, and I'm sure he's got some of that information. I'll have to call him when I get home and see. If he does have it, then I can let you know.
I don't think Dad ever told us.
I don't think he did
Unless
either.
a lot of them lived in Stockton, Utah, unless they died there. I don't know.
Because we knew about our mother's parents, or at least him. But we didn't know about her.
We knew our Grandpa Fenton, but
well, we got to make another slight pause and change batteries here, so we'll be right back. Again, and I've got a fresh battery on there, and we're going to ask you about your church positions.
Okay, do you want me to go first?
mm-hmm.
Well, that's been important, and I worked in the primary in Bremerton Ward for years. I don't know how many years, but it was years and years. We used to load our car up and take the kids in the car. I remember how I worried because all these little kids in the back seat of the car, and I'm driving along, I'm scared one of them's going to pull up the lock. We didn't have those fancy locks on the cars then. And I worked in the primary, taught primary kids for years and years. And then when we were living in East Park in Bremerton, was a Navy housing project. I was the chorister for the primary kids, and I did that for 2 years, and I enjoyed that because the primary songs were so beautiful. And then I worked for a long time in the Relief Society, in the presidency of the Relief Society, and one time was offered the job as the president of the Relief Society, but I couldn't take it because at that time we had our store, and my husband had a bad heart, and he couldn't do it all, and he couldn't stay there those long hours all the time, so I had to be there to help out. And so I didn't take that job, but I was honored to have him ask me, you know. And then for the last job I had in the church up there, I've worked in the visiting teaching program for years too. I've been a visiting teacher for years and years. And then for about 5 years, I worked as a special proxy at the temple in Seattle. And we went every Friday and worked, did 4 to 5 endowments every Friday. So then now I'm just a visiting teacher. They say you shouldn't say just a visiting teacher.
Yeah.
But that's what I say. I'm just a visiting teacher now. I had one of the bishopric asked me the other day. He said, Sister Peck, I hope you don't feel bad because we don't call on you to come up front, to the pulpit and give a prayer, because he said, I notice it's kind of hard for you to walk. And he said, I don't want you to feel bad. I said, oh, no, I don't feel bad. And I was scared to do it. So anyway, we're in the Shelton ward now, and I just do visiting teaching.
How long have you been a widow now, Emily?
For about 27 years.
Well, it'll be 28 years, September 1st this year.
28 years. I can't believe it's that long. And before my husband died, I went to work at the Harrison Memorial Hospital in Bremerton, and I worked there for 20 years.
What'd you do there?
Well, I started out, one time I worked on the switchboard, because I'd already been a telephone operator, so I know a little about that. And I worked there for not long, a few months. And then I worked as a ward clerk, they called them. And I did that for several years. And then they needed just some extra people to make the beds up when they discharged patients. And they just maybe discharged, it was a 200-bed hospital, so maybe they discharged 60 people.
Yeah.
And there was just 2 of us to make all those hospital beds. So we worked awfully hard. And I did that, all those jobs. Sometimes I worked in a pack room and made packs for surgery. Was a jack of all trades.
So you weren't like Luzanne, she was a nurse.
No, she was a nurse. She had a maid. I wasn't a nurse.
That's news to Amazon.
Is that true, Luzanne? You had it made?
Yeah, she had it made. But anyway, after 20 years, my doctor told me I had to quit. I was at about 80 something. And
No, you were in your 70s.
I was doing my day's work yet, but it was getting harder and harder.
They told me that when I was about 72. They said, it's time for you to quit.
Yeah. Well, they kept looking at us kind of funny
Yeah.
when we got to be 80.
Yeah.
But they didn't say anything because we were still doing our work, you know, and that was hard work.
Yeah,
So-
that's a lot of work. Long hours.
So
if you
anyway, I quit, retired, and that was wonderful. Didn't have to go to work anymore.
I want you to tell them a little bit about your grandchildren, how many grandchildren you
Oh
have, and
yeah,
who
the
they
most
are,
important thing in my
and
whole
your
life.
great-grandchildren.
I have 11 great-grandchildren,
Oh, tell them about the grandchildren first.
9 grandchildren,
Why don't you give them-
9.
and 11 great-grandchildren, all cuter than bugs. I love them all.
They all live up in the Washington area there?
Some of them are in Las Vegas, most of them are in the Washington area, and some in Utah,
And one in Missouri. And one
and
in
one in
Pennsylvania.
Missouri.
In Pennsylvania.
And,
Robert.
oh yeah, one in Pennsylvania. Golly.
And he's gonna get married, and then you'll have another person.
And he's gonna get married, then I'll have another one. Yeah.
You got a pretty good sized family then.
Yeah, they're wonderful. Now, was on you to tell you?
Oh, well, I can't remember. Karen has Corey, Clay, and Corey and Lynette. I have 3 grandchildren and 4 or 5 great-grandchildren.
Good for you.
And
How many children did you have?
2
2 children.
2 girls.
2 girls. But Peggy didn't get married. She was,
Like me, she just never
she
did.
never did. No. But she still teaches school, and Karen
Wonderful
works.
girl.
Karen works down here.
Karen went on, or Peggy went on a mission to, where was it?
She went to the Great Lakes.
And my son went on a mission to Arizona and California.
And then, of course, there's the joy of your life. Me.
And then there's the joy. She's a wonderful daughter.
A wonderful
She
daughter.
takes good care of
The
me.
joy of her life, and she loves me more than she loves my brother.
Uh-oh.
I get
There's
it
a bit
out.
of jealousy here.
Of course, he has a different story to it, but we don't pay attention to him
We
because
don't
he's
listen.
old and he
They
doesn't know
kid
what's
about
happening.
that all the time. They're both sharp on their wit. And
Yeah.
Ross says, oh, that shows she likes him more than, I like him more than I do her. And she says the same thing. So I like them both the same.
He doesn't like either one of us.
No.
You was going to tell a little bit about your trip up to the basin today. You didn't tell about it on the tape.
Oh
so-
my, we had that wonderful Peggy out there. She drove us miles and miles today. We went up and saw
The old
great-
homestead
the
area.
old homestead. That was the most important. We went, she took us out to the cemetery to see where our folks were buried. She took us up to Victor and Driggs, and we didn't get to see the Tetons because
Too
it
cloudy.
was too cloudy. But we had a wonderful time. She took us out to the Bates reunion at the lodge in Mahogany Canyon. We almost got stuck. But due to her good driving, we didn't. We got out. And I'll have to tell you, we brought our good friend with us here from up in Washington, in Shelton. She lives right just a little ways
Well,
from
better
our
come in here
house.
and get on the film. This is posterity, Lois.
Don't be camera shy now.
No. Come on, Lois, and I want him to see who you are.
I thought maybe they'd gone to bed.
Well, she lives in Shelton, a few blocks from where we live, and we've kind of adopted her. And one night we eat dinner at her house, and the next night we eat dinner at our house. And we do that almost every night.
I thought maybe Peggy and Karen ought to come in too and get on these tapes.
I think they
don't know whether
should.
they're all asleep
Are
or
they all gone to bed already?
They're not in bed, are they?
I don't know where they are.
Peggy was on mine. I don't know.
Peggy.
They're probably out in the back watching TV.
Anyway,
She took you up there and had a wonderful trip, huh?
we had a wonderful trip. She never complained a bit. She drove us all over. Then we stopped and had a nice dinner, and then came home.
Where'd you have dinner?
Well,
At Joe's.
At
At
Joe's.
Joe's
Joe's place.
place.
Yeah.
Joe's place in Driggs.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Had a good day.
One time, when I was a kid growing up, my dad, it was about the time we were getting to move out of St. Driggs.
Good.
My dad had a bunch of pigs to sell. And instead of put him in the wagon. We didn't know how he was going to get him in the wagon, but so he and I rode horses. I don't know if you were there.
I wasn't.
He and I rode horses and drove those pigs into town, 8 miles.
Oh my
And
goodness.
those pigs went into
I
town.
don't know how
And
you did
I
that.
don't know how we did it either. And we kept track of them. They didn't wander very far away. They went right down the road. And then we stopped and had dinner at the cafe, I remember.
You have
that
pork
Wasn't
chops?
that nice?
Yeah, we did. That was quite a treat to go to a cafe in those days, you know.
Yeah.
And so we stopped and had lunch, and then Dad and I rode back home on the horses.
That was good.
But I used to go to a lot of shows in Driggs.
Yeah, we were wondering about shows. Now,
Oh,
did
we
you,
did
you like
that.
westerns or?
Yeah, we had the covered wagon and things like that was the name.
We
But-
used to go to a lot of
Yeah, Dad used to take us if there was a special show.
What did it used to cost to get into the show?
Oh, I can't imagine. About 20 cents, I suppose.
Yeah.
25 cents. What it used to cost down here.
Yeah.
Not
And
very much.
but we'd get in and we'd go to Dad. Sometimes we went in the wagon, and Dad would take us. And sometimes, when I got bigger, I rode a horse in town to the show. But I didn't like to ride at night because the horse stumbled around too much. But I was always anxious to see a show, so
Yeah.
It was kind of a treat to go to a show.
Yes, it was.
You could probably take $1 and bring back some change. You could have
Oh,
popcorn,
yeah.
pop.
Yeah, it was only about,
I don't think they even sold popcorn or anything in the show at
I
that
don't
time.
think so.
We'd just go see the show.
We used to see a lot of shows. But I don't think of it, I can't think of any favorite show.
They were good shows back in
They were
those days.
good
They didn't
shows.
swear. They didn't
No,
have
they
a lot
didn't
of.
say all those dirty words. They didn't swear. They didn't do any of that. They were a Jimmy Stewart kind of a show.
Mm-hmm.
Love shows and
Yeah,
stuff you were proud to go see.
yeah,
You
right.
let your kids go see them.
That's right. Well, there wasn't any bad thing. Well, I'm telling you, this has been enjoyable.
Well, I appreciate both of you letting me do this. And Peggy calling me to come over, and of course we did one with Luzon here a couple of years ago,
Yeah.
but not together. And this has been, for both of you, been fascinating. And I'm sure there'll be some other things maybe before you go Monday that we forgot to talk
We might
about.
want to talk about, yeah, we'll think of some more.
So you
things.
think it over tonight, and dream about it tonight.
Yeah.
Now you're going to be TV stars, see? We'll have to change your name so nobody will know you.
That's right. You know, my son will be tickled to death with this because he's been wanting to do this for a long time. Mom, you ought to do this. So we'd have something to remember you. And if he was here, I bet he could think of a few things he'd like us to say.
Peggy, was there anything else you better come on in and let me get you on here.
And tell Lois to come, will you?
No,
I got her on, but I haven't got you, so just sit down
will you
there.
tell,
If I
Bring
come,
her.
Karen has to come too.
Bring
tell
her
Lois
too.
to
Nope,
come?
Karen
We
won't.
want her to come and sit here a minute because I've
Karen
told
doesn't have a
about
choice.
her.
You go get her, Mary.
Karen, in here, now.
She won't do it.
Don't you think she will?
I don't think she will. She's very shy.
Have we forgot something?
Well, you've remembered wonderful things. My gosh, I can't believe what good memories you
Yeah,
have.
I think we've covered pretty much the things that were on the list.
How about Lois? Is she sitting there?
Lois has gone away.
She's gone to bed?
She crawled away
Did
into
she
the...
go to bed?
Yes, she did. Yeah.
I
But
wanted
no,
her
this
to be
has
on
been
this.
wonderful. You guys remembered so many things, and
Well, we did. You get started and then you remember a lot of stuff.
I can't think of anything else right now.
Well, we'll call it, here she comes, maybe she's,
Is she
Okay,
coming?
Lois, you have to come in here. You have to get on here because we've mentioned your name several times. So people are going to be wondering who
Come on,
is
Lois,
in
you can take this place right here.
Come on, Lois. You can't get out of this. You're in the family now.
We can show you boys and say, now, you thought you only had a certain amount of aunts, but now you've got aunts and cousins you didn't even know about.
Yeah.
And doesn't care to ever see again.
Then I'll
adopt them all.
Yeah.
This has been really
Like
fun.
so-
I told them about us going to your house every other night to eat.
I've been eavesdropping.
Yeah.
We've been listening to you, and it
And
was
she
very
lives just a
interesting.
few blocks from us.
It's
And
been
we've
a
adopted
delight
her
coming to
as
Idaho.
we've
This your first time to Idaho then, or
No, I've been to Idaho before, but never this far.
never this far?
Yes, and it's beautiful, and the people are really, really wonderful.
Well, I'm glad you brought them down here.
And she helped do the driving, or we'd have never made it in one day.
That
because
85 miles an
Two-
hour makes it.
Yeah.
They drove from clear over 800 miles, I
In
know.
one day.
912
In one
miles
day.
to be exact.
901 miles.
Yeah, 'cause we've drove that and we've kept track a lot, but 901 miles.
That's a
farther
long
than you
drive.
think, isn't it? When you, on
But
the map, it don't look that far. But
It was so
No.
much
From
fun.
Boise to here was a long
that
way.
is the longest,
That was
isn't
the
it?
longest
But
trip.
you know, it was fun. Now, going with Lois and Mary, they keep you laughing all the time. And they never
Kind of
lose their
hysterical
temper and get
laughing.
mad. You know, if things don't go just so, they just have fun all the way. And so, to me, it was a not a long trip.
She hung on the whole way.
I
Did you
hung
hang
on a
around?
few times. I say I
White
hung
knuckled
on
it
a
all the
few
way.
times. But it was fun. They were fun people to come with.
That's a long drive for anybody to make, really.
Oh, it is.
Especially an 86-year-old woman. Yeah, it's a long drive. But like I said, it was fun.
They kept you busy talking and
Yeah.
She's 86, but Lois and I
We
together
didn't get
are
mad at
106.
anybody. Nobody got mad at each other. We didn't do
No,
that.
not yet, but we're not home yet.
No, we're not home.
I got another day to go.
That's right,
well, I
Lois.
want to thank all of you for having me come over and do this.
Well,
We might be able to add a little bit more tomorrow. Maybe
Yeah.
you think about it. And if
appreciate you coming.
Yeah, we appreciate
Sure
you
do.
coming.
Well, I don't know what we're gonna do tomorrow. We're just gonna.
Well, Peggy's
it's a
done
day of
all-
rest. You're supposed to rest.
Yeah.
Yes, that is the day.
Yeah, we don't have time to rest.
Oh,
Peggy
we-
could use
Peggy
a
will
day of rest.
she'll rest on Monday.
I got lost. So I heard you were gonna say you were gonna start for Washington Wednesday.
Me, oh,